swear, me I know the less. Una the skits we girl, and the skits we like say, we all useless. Hey, daddy got daddy witness. How they kill people then with stress. But if you know to, let's say Salomon, now you go support this nonsense. So me patriotic Sierra Leonean, think twice and get sense. Sierra Leone is blessed. Salon not to wear my hands. Power than just the mess. Banga. I'm in the building. Mess. Salona mess. Salona mess. Salona mess. Salona mess. Leaders them when they lead we the mess. Salona mess. The mommy they dance na TikTok but mess. If the papa say it go continue for fly, na big mess. Kai Kamara miss penalty, wait for me is the country passes. Salona mess. People just they die at facility, total mess. Salona mess. We don't get sorry yet for we self, we hate we self, but mess. Because this government say mess, citizens of this country they suffer per mess. The country value the less. Tetsi de una de pages guess. Una keep play we like Lodo or chess. Mess. Salona mess. Salona mess. Salona mess. Salona mess.
When they see more to heart, I don't get room na pademba. King no go label to Huda. I don't remember. But him get defense. We all na Rudiger. People don't let you say Elena Rudiger. Free education just a sign of the read. This na land of the free, but people hard they bleed. System don't take relief. All things sleepy.
Salute.
System don't for your all team nasty. Well, now who that go can be with John Fabianski? Eleno the next president, party ass. I saw them see me at LSC, people want cost me. And two now 1 time mil back stop picking on a cast me.
Oh, salute.
You get it?
I did.
And you them put 5 mil reward money I can buy and see with. I go left body in the ground before pussy hold me get rich.
Banga.
We don't tell all team na mess.
I saw me tap the right kick with the left. I know someone hate me when I saw like Kuna Mami. Say when I come up here me, steady go. When I come up here honest, that man they blow. That man a ref, that man go blow. That man need for blow. When I left for me blow. Mess. Salona mess. Salona mess.
No.
Oh, I know what it is.
I can hear you now.
Oh man, my mic. Okay. My computer, the computer give me so much hard time that I forget to turn on my mic. And this mic is
Oh,
so
really?
quiet. Can you imagine if you
Yeah.
don't turn it up to give it the amperage we need? That's it.
Right. No, I can
Wow,
hear
wow,
you.
wow. Okay. I was struggling there the whole time. All right. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. But ladies and gentlemen, listen. This is like in a very long time. This is, I think, my second live broadcast on YouTube. But I'm gonna get folks to get used to this channel as well because it's not just Facebook. You know, Facebook can disappoint us at any time. But guys, we're gonna go straight to the point. Guys, box. This is not gonna be long. We're gonna just focus and talk about the fact that now we hear the judiciary system with everything that is going on. We listened to Umaru Fofana in BBC interview today, and of course, I'm gonna try to play that as well, and let people But before we even start, again, like I said, Kashi, we have only 4 people on our live on YouTube, but of course, we'll clip these clippings and share later with folks who share on Facebook and then call their attention and say, hey, come on over, not to Facebook no more. So again, like how we can say, if now one person yariwi, now one person yariwi. So guys, you guys that are on YouTube here, please just go ahead and type in a comment. Let me just know who and who I have on the live. Just type in a comment, say hello or something. All 4 of you, and then at least we go ahead and start this live. But like I said, the first video that I'm gonna play is gonna be Charles Margai. I want you guys to listen to him. So Kashi, before we even start with the Charles Margai video, at least let's open this up for people so that everybody understands where we're going with this, right? The reason why we're doing this is to 4 years of SLPP, because they basically have about 10 months left in power now. What we want to show to you guys with everything that is going on, when you look at the 2020 human rights reports that made it very, very, very clear that the prisons in Sierra Leone are crowded. They are overcrowded. And then you listen to the report from Umaru Fofana today, talking about that. It goes to everything we talked about in our audio the other day, Cashbox, right? And it goes to everything we tweeted about on our Twitter pages them for call the attention of the international community, to call the attention of the world, to say that, you know what? There's a lot of people out there in the prison systems across Sierra Leone that are just languishing. Some of these guys, they've served, their sentences without even being sentenced at this particular point in time. Some are not in jail 5-10 years. What did they do there? They don't even know. They don't lost them paperwork them. It is terrible. This is sad. And this is happening across Africa. So Kashi, since it is YouTube, YouTube gets a wider audience as opposed to just limiting yourself on Facebook where you talk Creole and then it's only your people coming around. We can mix the Creole and the English a little bit because, of course, folks from Ghana, Nigeria, all over the place, later we're going to go see them, at least so they'll be able to understand exactly, what we're doing here. But, Sierra Leoneans, the fact of the matter remains, across the country, again, like I said, the human rights reports of 2020 made it very clear that we have, lots and lots of people languishing, in jails. The jails are overcrowded, and that is why we have to lend a voice to this particular issue. So, Cashbox, tell family, hello, say hello to everybody, and then after that, I'm going to start with, Charles Margai's video for paint a picture of why we have what we have today in Sierra Leone. Because if Charles Margai was still the Attorney General, under this SLPP administration, matter of fact, we would have avoided having these crowded prison systems. Talk to me, Kashi.
Absolutely. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Ibrahim, you just hit the point right there. When you look at the whole structure, this guy was fired as a result of him saying, gone are those days when, someone would, like advantage somebody else and then says it is the power from above.
Right.
Which I believe, like, with everything that we're doing now, with everything we're condemning now, it's as a result of, like, it started from that very moment. I mean,
Right.
we all say that the imposing the Speaker of the House in Parliament, removing 10 members of Parliament, these are all issues that kind of like, took us to where we are today. Because,
Right.
I always say one thing, when you look at the structure of our country, Ibrahim, you can clearly see that, I believe if not the only country in Africa, we could have had a very structured and, a government that, anyone in the world could have placed confidence in, because, the executive arm is is controlled by one party and then the parliament controlled by another party. And surely that could have been, the right place where, political parties that do not mean well for their countries would be exposed. Because what that means, if SLPP were to come up with like these strategic and very good thing for the country, and then like, the APC kind of like go against it, like the people would then kind of like say, you know what, we can clearly see that the political party that is not good for our nation. But what did we see? We saw like the president, having his way. Like, he knew fully well what he was coming to do, right from the get-go. Like you clearly see. And then Charles Margai came and say, you know what, we should try to have any country to succeed, to strive, thrive, Ibrahim. There
Absolutely.
must be, these arms of government, the
Right.
judiciary and the parliament functioning the way they should function. But
Absolutely.
right there, the Attorney General said, we're not going to come with this old story to say, power from above. And he
Nope.
was sacked. And after he was sacked, I mean, we've seen the things that are happening right now in our country, like where the prisons, people would just decide to say, you know what, even like someone steal maybe 5,000 leons, which is barely like 50 cent, someone could go to prison and they will literally say, you know what, I'll jail you and throw the key
Keys away.
in the deepest sea.
Right. Right.
Like this is the norm. This is the saying in our country where
Right.
people boast about like jailing someone, like without no, like just like what you Umar Fofana listened to the report. People are in court, like Comrade Koita was saying, like when he was in Panama Road prison, he went to court the other day. They were in a cell in the court, and then like a prisoner came up to him and say, you know what, I've been in Panama Road prison for 4 years for like a driving offense without a charge. Without a charge. And the guy was telling him that was the very first time he went to court. For 4 years, Ibrahim.
It's sad. It is pathetic. And so to give you guys a context of what we're talking about now, the level of the bad judiciary basically in Africa, and we're speaking specifically because we're from Sierra Leone. The bad judiciary system, the prison systems, the judges, the lawyers, the whole system is a mess completely. And I'm gonna play this report from BBC today, to tell you guys exactly what it is. And like my brother was saying, Alfred there, the fact of the matter remains, until us as Africans we start to speak up about these issues and say enough is enough, nothing is gonna change. Our brothers and sisters are languishing. The prison systems, the judiciary. We've had a brutal rebel war in Sierra Leone. We had a brutal rebel war. The number one cause of the war was judiciary and the police. But up till now, we've not learned. Nothing has changed. In the previous government, of course, of former President Nkrumah, we knew that, government is continuity. Things were not, rosy, because it has never been rosy. But it was a little bit better. We did not see arbitrary arrests across the country. But let me play this video, this from BBC, so you guys can listen to this, and then you'll get a better understanding of what we are talking about here. Let me show you guys this.
Concerns of overcrowding in jails, partly caused by people who've spent years waiting for their charges to be heard in court. Let's speak to our reporter, Umaru Fofana, who joins us now from the city of Makeni in the north of Sierra Leone. Umaru, this is a pretty unprecedented move, isn't it? So tell us about the state of Sierra Leone's prisons right now.
Hi, Claire. Well, the prisons in Sierra Leone across the country are grossly overcrowded. The Pudemba Road prison in Freetown, for example, holds more than twice its capacity for which it was established. And I dare say that human rights organizations have also confirmed this, that across the other prisons as well in the countryside, the same situation, is what prevails there. There are, for example, inmates who've been awaiting indictment and have been behind bars for years. And there are those who are facing trial. They've also been there for years on remand, so much so that even if they had been convicted, they would have served out their sentences, yet they are in prison. And there's a very common phenomenon here, which is a disappearance of files, of case files. People are behind bars and their case files, for some reason that is very hard to understand, disappear within the judicial system, within the court system. And even magistrates, according to the spokesperson for the judiciary, Elkas Sano, even magistrates who are basically in charge of preliminary investigations in the court system, sentence people beyond the number of years that they have mandates to do. So these judges are going to this prison to try to look into all these matters. And where they find out that people have been detained illegally, so to speak, they are there and then going to release them. We are not sure whether they will get any compensation once that happens.
It comes to something, doesn't it, when judges are so sceptical of the system that they are working at the top of. They're saying, we're going out there to talk to people directly because we don't trust how this whole process is being run. Who are they pointing the finger at, do you think?
Well, it's finger pointing. I mean, the left hand is blaming the right hand and vice versa. If you speak to prison officials, they will tell you that we are keeping people behind bars who have been sent to us by the courts. And there are some members of the judiciary who are saying that even those who have been sentenced, to serve a certain number of years, are in fact released without the acquiescence, without their knowing at all, let alone the acquiescence. So it depends on who you talk to. But then largely it is because of the way that the court system operates. Cases are adjourned in this country many, many, many times. For example, somebody may appear in court today and the matter is adjourned to months before they reappear in court.
Welcome, Comrade.
So it's very slow. There was a talk that it's because they don't have enough courts. But then in recent times, more and more courts have been established in particularly remote areas of the country. So it is a view of the Chief Justice that once this happens, the prisons will be decongested and they will look into the issue of liberty of people who are behind bars. Let's face it, illegally.
Guys, I'm sorry, I cannot let me resume that video.
So it's righting wrongs, but also trying to set up a system for the future that means the country won't get stuck in the same backlog again.
Exactly. That's what the Chief Justice and his colleagues at the leadership of the judiciary are saying. But I think campaigners are saying that what concerns them the most is the structure itself. The system, they say, is faulty, so it has to be corrected. And the Chief Justice is saying that in a way to ensure that the system is set up properly, let us look at why things are the way they are. For example, I went to the prison in the south in Bo, and I met someone there who had been there for 15 odd years. He had even gone mental, and nobody could tell me why he was being detained there. After a report went out on the BBC, he apparently was released. But that's just a single case of so many cases of people who are behind bars who basically shouldn't be behind bars.
Umaru, thank you as ever for the updates. Our reporter Umaru Fofana joining us from Makeni in the north of Sierra Leone.
Comrade Koita, Cashbox, welcome, Comrade. We've started this live, Comrade. Matter of fact, Comrade, just so you know, we're on YouTube. I didn't go live on Facebook, just so you know. We're on YouTube. So we're trying to get folks to come over on YouTube as well. Comrade, you were a victim. Every Sierra Leonean that, we're gonna brush through this, just in case for the folks that they've never heard about your situation. But you're a victim. There is no Sierra Leonean today across the globe that would not know about Comrade Koita's case. Maybe a few of them that don't follow, the news or social media as a whole. But we've listened to this interview from the BBC, this report by the BBC, and of course you have personal stories that you've shared with us as far as confirming some of these issues. This reporter has never lived this. You have lived this, Comrade Koita. You don't live this life. You understand exactly what it is. And this is sad, and that is why our focus is on the judiciary now. We want to focus on the judiciary to ensure that, we do everything we could to raise our voice to ensure that we fix the judiciary in Sierra Leone. The prison systems are overcrowded. This is a report from the Human Rights Report, 2020 Human Rights Report from the State Department. But that was the BBC interview. But to crown this, let me play the video of Charles Margai. Because Comrade Koita and Cashbox and everybody listening to this, we all know why, today we have these overcrowded, prison systems across Sierra Leone. Partly it is because, of course, if Charles Margai was the Attorney General, there would be no way that would have these situations because, of course, nobody would be going around like the vigilantes going around and arresting civilians by themselves. Michael Mansari is a classical case of these vigilantes of the SLPP, and the president has not been saying anything. So when Charles Margai came and said what he said, they knew this was not the kind of man we wanted because they wanted poetic justice. So, come in, let me play Charles Margai's video, and then, I'll bring you in so we can take it from there. Let me play that video.
After concerns of overcrowding in jails,
So this is why I am here. Let us all forget now that the elections are over, and let us play our role to move this nation forward. This is the only country we have. There is no alternative. If we destroy it, even when you are in your grave, your children will never forgive you. And discretion is a virtue. Nobody is coming to tell me that it was orders from above. We have no orders from above. Let no minister come and tell you, go and arrest Mr. X. We don't have the right to instruct you to arrest. All we can do is to lodge complaints. You investigate. If in doubt, you refer the matter to the DPP's office for advice. But if you go and interfere with the liberty of an individual or individuals on the directives of a minister, you have yourself to blame. I will not defend you.
Comrade, right there. This was the beginning and demise of the SLPP. Now, so the SLPP destroyed themselves completely, not only locally, but internationally, because Cashbox will talk about confidence and all of that. Comrade Koita, go ahead. Right there was this man who says, we are not going to tolerate any, nonsense within our systems where orders from above and all that foolishness that has destroyed democracies across Africa. But this was it right here, Comrade Koita. Go ahead.
Thank you, Ibrahim. It's so sad and hard to say these things. When I came out of prison, sometimes 2020 in August, when I started this crusade, people think I was exaggerating or like propagating or making false statements. Ibrahim, being to prison is very difficult, but I've never regretted a single day I spent in prison, because that is where I changed my entire mentality, because I saw injustice.
Yeah.
People have been in prison for 4 years. I was saying these things to you guys so many times. I said, we have a lot of Sierra Leoneans who are suffering. In fact, they've spent more time than their jail sentence. Today, the evidence are out there. It's not me anymore. It's Umar Fofana who think toward the south and the east, not the entire country. Let me tell you something, Ibrahim. I was saying this thing. I will continue to say these things. When we are talking about bad governance, the narrow-minded people want to just narrow it now. I will say this thing. I will continue to say these things. It has been started since 1961, but this time is the worst. This is the worst. Salone has never enjoyed pure or proper democracy, 100%. No, we can't be dishonest to this level. But because of sycophancy and maybe arrogancy to the extent people don't want to say the truth, they just want to, they just want to shift blame to others. If we want to make this country a better country, Ibrahim, we have to go back where we came from 60 years ago. We have to go back where we came from 60 years ago. The story of the war, they said the main cause of the war is because of injustice, meaning the police and the judiciary. This is the main cause of the war. It's written in, there are sometimes we have to expose these things. We have to be more robust in educating our peoples. Ibrahim, this is from a BBC reporter. If it is me or you or Kashpose, they will say, these guys, what do you expect in Salon? And they talk about SLP. They know it's something good. When we went to a certain platform, like one idiot like Perewa, I was saying these things, and he was politicizing. For God's sake, Ibrahim, I have nothing against him, if not because of bad governance. Some of us are not talking there because we want a job. If I wanted a job, I would have stayed in my job.
Right.
I was happy. I would have stayed in my job, Ibrahim, or continue doing other things. But decided to come out from the job and took another fight, because I saw a lot of injustice over the years. I've been fortunate to serve for 28 years.
Right.
So I know what went wrong during the APC era of Momo and the MPRC1, MPRC2, the Pakaba era, the AFRC, and later Pakaba and Eskroma. So I know what went wrong. I'm not saying these things because we want to condemn President Biu or his government, but I know him. I said I will not work with you because I know you will commit to us. You can never change the country to what we expected. President Nkrumah did well. He made some mistake. We won't say he did 100%. He made some mistake, but he did well, like upholding some rule of law. without intimidation, no political detention, allowed people to express themselves freely, like Al-Fatih and others. Nobody was arrested. I was arrested and detained just because I defended the poor boy. I never knew him from Adam. I said, if you want to use firearms, you must apply all the rules of engagement, meaning the paragraph 1 said, it won't affect your personal right to self-defense, but however, firearms will be the last resort.
Right.
Then I jumped to paragraph 3 said, when someone is committing a crime or about to commit a crime, not even commit a crime, an act that likely to endanger human life. This is the point, underlying statement.
Right.
When it's committing a crime, an act likely to endanger, because if I'm committing a crime, but it's not like danger in human life, there's no need for you to eliminate me.
Absolutely.
I should be arrested and prosecuted. But an act likely to endanger human life, I was arrested just because I said this thing publicly. People started politicizing the statement. But I was happily living in prison because I knew I didn't commit a crime. I just said what I knew. These things I was a chief instructor, so I know them often. I will not go to my book and look for these things. I will say them from paragraph 1 to 6. I will go to the escalation of force from 1 to 5. I will read them and explain them for better understanding. I think it's just a honest service I did.
Absolutely.
I spent, in the history of Sierra Leone, nobody was locked up for even a month in solitary confinement. I spent 9 months in solitary confinement, but I was happy because I knew I didn't commit a crime. I was interacting with inmates when we went to court together. I asked them questions because I want to know. I can see, Ibrahim, we have a lot of people in jail. They are not working any longer.
They're crippled.
Because they're crippled. They've been crippled. They spent more time, no proper food, no better medical. The Parema prison, I can't explain. It's the only thing, if you go in the prison, you went there, you can see what I'm saying.
Exactly.
No matter how
so you have to feel it to know it.
You may think it's a joke, or maybe it's just a drama.
Right.
Well, like Umar Fwana, he's going to, maybe he will testify some of the things because he's never been an inmate like me. I spent 9 months interacting with these guys. Some people said, I've been here for 4 years. Just a traffic offense, without having an indictment. Not like going to court, without having an indictment. I met with somebody in the court cell. I said, what's your problem? What's your crime? He's been half crippled. He said, my brother, I'm here for 4 years. Today is my first day of coming to court. Without an indictment.
Right.
So many of us have been arrested because Lima, the Deputy Affairs Minister, said I should be arrested for an allegation. The first allegation that I wanted to overthrow the government. Someone who honorably resigned from service, handing over all my kits. You know what that means. If you want to resign, you have to fulfill all the criteria before they give you a discharge book. I came with my discharge book and my letter, the letter I wrote and the letter they gave me to the CID. I gave them access to search. I was still charged for subversion. I was still charged for lawful possession of arms and ammunition. Imagine. Then I went to court with 9-count charge. Later, I was released and arrested in the court room. In our laws, 200 meters outside the court, nobody should be arrested. I was arrested again in the court and charged again with another 25-count charge. 19 of the count charge is perverting, which the maximum sentence is death and the minimum is life imprisonment. Out of 25, 19 because they wanted me dead, because they see me as a threat. Especially coming out of saying things about the security sector, especially the police and the military, which I know the rules.
Right.
I spent so many years, not like wasted years. I was learning and teaching. So there are some things I don't open the books.
Right. Because it's ingrained in you.
We have to depoliticize our mentality. We have to, de-radicalize our tribal thinking, because one of the things Sierra Leone, we've suffered this tribal and political line in a regional line basis. It has been there before, but now it's the worst. It has been there since independence, since we have the first SLPP. The SLP mentality is to divide this nation in a tribal line basis. They want to own the country. Every institution, this will be 95% employees. It's like we're running a Mendy country. We don't want to say this tier, but we have to say it because
very tribal.
They said one tribe should not dominate any institution.
No.
In fact, they said no tribe should be 10%, more than 10% in institution. It's there in the Triassic report, because when they were making their report on the Triassic report, they tried to demonize the APC. Like during the APC era, no other tribe was working except the Libas or the Timini. They forgot about the Salia, the JB Dauda, the APC Smith, the Victor Ford. They forget to mention those names. These are has been need to be specific. And there are a lot of people that we knew, me and you know, but because they want to demonize the APC government, they put this, and it's written now.
Right.
That no single tribe should be more than 10% in any office. Go to Jubilee today, man. Go to lands.
Truth
Go to
and
Marine
Reconciliation
Resources.
Commission, guys, is
Yeah,
what
it's
we're
there.
talking about here. The Truth and
It's
Reconciliation
just a
Commission
report.
after the brutal
I
rebel
continue
war.
calling Serena, go and watch the TRC report. Check the TRC report, because we don't want to go where we came from 31 years ago. And we are heading there, Ibrahim. We are very close to that place, because one tribe should not hold 15 tribes to ransom, like what we are seeing now. But when I was saying about the Panebaru prison, they say, it's a made-up story. How will you say this? Now it's from the horse's mouth. The man that was dodging the report, Imam Fana was dodging all this while. He was not saying these things. Imagine I came out of prison, I contacted this guy, I want to explain these things to the world. And I'm still seeking for this help. I'm still trying to explain. I want to have a platform that I will explain these things, because I have a lot of things to say, Ibrahim. I still have problem. I contacted Umar Fana, I'm Comrade Koita. I spent 9 months. You know about the Parima route attack. I have the story to tell. I want the story the world to have this story about Parima route, about the massacre, about the unlawful detention of Sierra Leoneans, innocent people, including men and women.
You know, Comrade,
I don't get the opportunity both to and look at radios, not in terms of radio. And I'm still crying for this opportunity, because I have a lot of things. Ibrahim, this platform is not enough. We are trying. But I want the world to pay attention to these things. Let me tell you something, Ibrahim. I'm thinking of making, like when Mandela came out of prison almost 32 or 33 years ago, he made a book. They called the book the Nelson Mandela Rule. And in the rule 12 of Nelson Mandela said, no one should be in solitary confinement for more than 48 hours.
Yeah.
And in Nelson Mandela rule 12, he said no one should stay in a solitary confinement for more than 48 hours. Imagine, Mandela spent just 10 days in solitary confinement. Imagine, I spent 9 months.
Solitary confinement, 9 months.
Solitary confinement,
that
9
is
months.
Total abuse.
My entire life in prison, I was in solitary confinement.
That is
I've never
absolute abuse.
So Mandela said in his book, and they have this rule in prison, because they are looking at two rules in the entire prison, I think across the world. Is the Singapore rule, which talks about women's rights more in prison, and the Nelson Mandela rule. Nelson Mandela emphasized on like right to phone, right to free trial. No one should stay in solitary confinement for more than 48 hours. Right to better living. Imagine up to this in this 21st century, we are still using bucket as a toilet.
It's a shame.
This one. Imagine in this 21st century
in the African prison. It's terrible. You know, in Comrade Koita, can you imagine up till this point, this is how Africans regard themselves. This is how we see ourselves, like dogs, like animals. Even dogs live a better life than some of us, some of those people that are in prison.
The food in prison, I can tell you this thing for free. If you give that food to a dog outside, the dog will not eat that food.
That is how disgusting the food is.
Imagine.
But you know, Comrade Koita, we of course we've spent enough time on your experience in the prison system as a whole, right? But this live, what we want to do again is to show the nakedness of the judiciary system as a whole.
Let me tell you something. I listened to the video of Charles Margai.
Right.
I think it's just that they are not consistent. That is the problem. Because if I was Charles Margai, I was fired because I said these things. I'll come out there as a lawyer, a qualified lawyer, one of the he's among the respected lawyers in Sierra Leone, I think.
Absolutely.
You know, he should have raised a voice, a campaign, because he was an Attorney General, Minister of Justice. He started very well, that I will not defend you, because if no minister got the right to say, go and arrest this person,
right?
They will complain. They are just a citizen, just like any other citizen. Me and you understand he was fired because of this, because they understand he will never dance to their tune. They say, okay, this one, it's the shortest serving Minister of Justice we ever had in Sierra Leone. Now, what happened? Since then, he went back and sit down, kept quiet. A lawyer, someone who, he's been in the field for over 30 years, almost 40 years. A bride. Sometimes, if I wanted, like me, I came out from the army, I would just keep quiet, say nothing. They kill somebody, it's not my business. Well, it's my business because I want this thing to, I want the end. The consistency this is the problem. Why Charles Margai is not saying nothing since then? Because he belonged to the same tribe as the president. Maybe it's just a mistake. I may wrong, but this is my thinking. Because I think wide. Because if he says something out of honesty, you think this bothers you, right? You continue the fight even beyond the office.
I see your point, and that is a very valid point as far as Charles Margai. Why? That's the problem. That is a culture in Sierra Leone, Cashbox, and this is the problem where leaders don't feel they have a responsibility to come out and speak up about certain things, because the point we're trying to make here, Cashbox, is the fact that the beginning and the end of the SLPP as an administration, and the reason why we have these, the prison system has been, guys, I don't even want to keep saying that, right? We all know the prison systems, it has been terrible, but it got better under former President Nkrumah. But still, it's nothing to write home about still. And then
check your sound. It doesn't sound well.
Okay.
I can hear you fine.
Okay. Comrade, if you get calls now, your phone might interrupt.
No, I don't have calls.
Okay, because
okay, let me just go out again and come, but I'm not getting you right.
Absolutely. Right. So Cash, you see, that is the problem. Because at the end of the day, if you look at now, why do we have overcrowded prison systems? It is because every vigilante has a right to go out there and arrest these people. That's something we've already talked about, right? But this was the beginning and the end of the SLPP as an administration, and this is why we have the situation that we have today. Comrade, you should be able to hear me now, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Looking at it, Ibrahim, just like the point you made right there about the reason why we have one of the reason for the overcrowded prison that we do have in our country. We saw videos. Was it yesterday or this morning? Like parents, wives, relatives of like people that were arrested in Lone Town. Why? Because they protest. I think they protest against something. They were arrested without charge, and these guys have been in that prison for, is it like 1 year, 9 months, or 1 year, over a year?
Over a year,
almost 2 years. Almost 2 years.
Exactly, Comrade. So why do you really think you decide to imprison people without charge? Going back to Kamaremba, talking about the judiciary, the political an opposition political activist, or whatever he calls himself, an opposition political party leader, decide to speak up against like this government. And right there, it was telling us, what? I am giving this government, 3.5 years or so, or 3 years, or 2.5 years. And right there, they knew it was coming to 2.5 years. And this guy got arrested straight away. Okay, I'm not saying that he is innocent of the allegation, but it is the fact that this guy was granted bail. What did they do? The clerk refused his bail. He refused him his bail.
Is the master
and the guy
register.
is still in prison. Sorry, Comrade.
Is the master register, and she's a female. And let me tell you that's the normal habit of that lady. When I was released in jail, not like bail, I was acquitted and discharged. I have to spend almost for the whole day for me to receive my discharge paper. Imagine I was acquitted and discharged around 11 in the morning. I have to spend the whole day till 10 because I finally got my discharge. That I'm free to work.
Wow!
Imagine.
It is the messed up judiciary we're talking about right there. And when we talk about this judiciary, Ibrahim, right, we need to understand that the reason why Africa is the way it is because of confidence. Nobody, and not only talking about like the confidence and things like these are kind of like human rights abuses. And look, Ibrahim, and no investor. The world has moved on. There is ethical side to every corporation now. They know that if I cannot go to a country that treats the people so badly, imprison people, it is against their corporate, their social corporate responsibility.
Absolutely.
It is against it.
Yep.
And then we talked about, Africa, the white people are kind of like killing us. No, we're killing ourselves because we're not giving this confidence to people for investors to go to our countries. There is no way. We're killing ourselves.
Absolutely.
These are human rights abuses. Why would you expect like a company to go to a country that kills, like abuse, like its citizens?
Absolutely.
No. It is not going to work. And we
Right.
keep saying, Africa is the richest country in the world. Like minerals, everything is there. But yet still, we're still the poorest continent in the world. What is responsible for this?
It is a shame.
Because of this irresponsibility of our government and our leaders. Because these basic things are the things that we need to hold dearly. Because we cannot. A company with a corporate social responsibility, making sure that the people that lives in that country lives the way they live the way they're supposed to live. And then like you have a government that touches its own people. Ibrahim, no investor would go there because right there, it is telling me, even the investors or government of that company will say, why are you going to that country that kills its people?
Absolutely.
It's not going to work, for God's sake.
Yep. Comrade in Cashbox, let me do this. Let me play this video of these women. Again, guys, the context of this messaging today is about, the crowded prisons that we have across Sierra Leone. Prisons are overcrowded. Why? Because when you take somebody like Attorney General Charles Margai that was fired, it was barely 1 month in that position, maybe less than that.
Yeah.
When he came out and said what he said about the fact that we are not going to take any orders from above, it was fired immediately. The president fired him because the president subscribes to these vigilantes going around town arresting people just the way they want. And that is why we have the problems that we have. So again, a total decline in the judiciary system. The number one cause of the rebel war in Sierra Leone was the police and the judiciary. That is why we want to point out on these two issues like these, because we want to bring you guys your attention to why, when you listen to the BBC Umaru Fofana's reports today, that is what it's talking about. The crowded prison systems across Sierra Leone. People are serving jail times, longer than, what even if they were convicted. They are serving jail times now. They've sat in jail for so long that even if they were convicted, they wouldn't have been sentenced that long. That is the fundamental problem that we're talking about here. Let me play this video of these family members. And this goes to the crowded prison systems that we have, like I showed you guys earlier. But let me play this video of these ladies so you guys can hear this for yourself.
We won't forget from the victim, one of their family, then say get few things to talk. Yes, madam, what's your name, ma?
Yes, me na Abibat Munusa.
Okay, so you get here
I begin Abdul Munusa.
Abdul Munu.
Yes, sir. Now the 1 year 9 months the council.
So now 1 year 9 months for more than.
I do business. I not get nothing.
Okay.
Even today, what I for left for me picking, I not get.
Okay.
The business money all lot for me picking. And the dead in the country, but nothing in the east, not easy. So the women help women, I let release picking them. You have to beg them. Men help women release picking them. Picking everybody not fine. We picking them sick. We picking them sick inside. We picking everybody all not fine. Men are sorry for me. They are men are sorry for me. Men are release picking them. Men are sorry for me. Papa, they are men are sorry for me. Men are release picking them. When you know they for you picking them. Nothing are there for you. It's fine. They are papa they beg. Men are sorry for me.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Zana.
I'm small boy and they say they beg papa government. Yeah, we what any so far sana. Nothing not there. I mean, the big one. Mama not get for your papa again. We have papa government say we for this case here. It's not easy for we. The business side don't sit down again. Nothing again. Even see the one cannot get not start left me brother and mama live up line the low sag na me wan get there na me dey work at this case here. You have a government so now everybody's case here, not easy for we. When they suffer inside, when everybody they down, the brother is sick, but they all don't know. They have a government now everybody's case here. We don't get nobody where they help we. We don't get posting. We have a government. They are beggar for everybody's case here. Not easy for we. We are now this time we get.
Okay, Madam Utna Uni. Okay, Memnat, yes, what you say you proceed towards this issue?
Well, wait till I don't say. Right now, the old woman there, who brother, the neighbor there, the old there for the past 1 year and 9 months. Like me, so me man, you know, do nothing. Most of the one that were inside there, all. Nothing they not do. The one they will do the havoc, they don't run away. Now they don't can suffer them. We right now look me na woman. Who say they get me man where they support me pikin. They don't hold her. Me na me they suffer for take care of the pikin and me man is under. Yeah, we they beg the big one there, the government. Yeah, may sorry for we may help we not easy.
Yeah,
we they beg me and board and I dey that's the body all sick, body all done. We don't try to we not able to pull us. Because we able to because they're innocent. But we they beg we and let them really support them.
You know, comrade, you know, Sierra Leoneans, you know, that are going to be watching this, you're going to have some idiots that are going to say, oh, they were lawless. You know, but let me address the family members first. This is very important because I want Sierra Leoneans to understand, like we said earlier this morning in our audio message.
Break it down, Ibrahim, because they're going to listen.
Yes. Lot talk Creole. You know, one of the family members that will watch this right now. Now, when I talk to this video, when they cry. I want to understand, say, first of all, when I get for demand from government, when I don't need for cry and big government. Nobody know for the big government. You the demand from government. When our brothers and sisters, them, I don't want to by. They want to look and say, when they come out, hey, until I be, you know, come up for soon, they go protest. No, it is their right to protest. Section 26, subsection 1 makes it very clear. You have the rights to your freedoms of assembly and association. It did not the Constitution, not to me say. So for all of you family members out there who now understand, say this is them basic fundamental human rights. They should not be locked up for 1 year and 9 months because they protested against the government, regardless of what it is. They're not even charged some of them where I go court state today. You don't take your time. Una for demand more. But this is a society where we get that. Una the people as a whole. No leadership is there. Members of parliament are absent. Civil societies are absent. Prisons are overcrowded. Now in BBC they report so delicate. They say the prisons they're overcrowded because the guy knows they all everybody then go lock them up. Then you get Charles Margai where come for say, you know they allow any orders from above. They fire them because the president is aware of this. But Salon people as a whole, where is the unity? Where are the leaders? Where are the members of parliament? Where they sit in there? They say the number one cause of the rebel war. Now because of the judiciary and the police. Now they see so today. People are crying constantly. We're not supposed for crying now. I know how painful it is. I understand. But I just want to understand.
Ibrahim, that really annoys me.
It's annoying.
I understand because it is the way the government have set the people to think. I understand that. But when are the people going to stand up and demand what is due to them?
Can you imagine a whole Losar town? Yeah. A whole town that probably has over 300,000 people, if not more?
Yeah. And we know this is all politics. They're trying to intimidate the people, trying to stop them from, exercising their right. So you know that, and now we're begging the government who, like, they knew exactly what they were doing. They know what they're doing. They know that they want to intimidate these people. But yet the people are going back to the government to beg for their rights.
Cashbox, they will tell them, say, una be lawless. What you going to teach for? And this and that. And then they will see themselves like say they're guilty. Go ahead, comrade.
Because we ask now, say we the members of parliament maybe they must get 2 or 3 because Lunshar big. If not 2 7. They're all in a different constituencies. Them, Then we do that. Then we lock them all with former Honorable Karanke because he was former Honorable Member of Parliament. We see the tension away amount. He was released. Now the poor boy then. Now this I talk say Salo will live in selective justice. If you not get fame, you not get name.
Oh no.
Anything happen to you, you die and rot in a jail. Now your family get for suffer the pain. You get for belong to the society of recognition before they begin talk for you. You know, it's a pity, Ibrahim. You know, may I say injustice for one man?
Just 1 second, like if I ask a question, because these parliamentarians, they do have this thing that they say when once a case is in the hands of the judiciary or the court, they're not supposed to speak about it.
No, we don't say speak about
I do not understand this logic.
No, we don't say speak about the case, Cashbox, but you can look at the matter again. Why the delay? Why these guys are why they are not charging these people to court, or why they are, you know, you have, we don't say talk about the issue, but you have to engage the judiciary. Go to the court. Why the reason for denial of the bail? Why, you know, there are so many producers. You can convict them. We want to get the result of the matter. You continue your cry. You can call for protest. You can call for protest in your constituency.
Okay. You see,
we don't talk about the matter. We don't say interfere with the matter, but call for protest for the lawful detention. As far as I'm concerned, it's unlawful detention. You know, let me tell you something. In our laws, if you appear at court 3 times without proper prosecution, you should be acquitted and discharged.
Absolutely.
I appeared 35 times. I always talk about my judge. He forced himself to give me freedom because, like, he was being harassed by the State House. No, you must detain him. You must sentence him at least 10 years. That I was going for 10 years.
Can I ask a question again? Because when you say, I mean, if you appear 3 times and then like they do not find you wanting, the judge can actually make a decision. But this is where the gray area is, Ibrahim. What if that 3 times kind of like, you know, spread over like 3 years, like once every year? And do they have a time frame as well?
Let me tell you something.
Like how long you could spend in you know, I do not know.
No, you know that is the problem. Yeah. You bring a very, very salient point. They don't have time. They don't have time frame, like to say, okay, if they call you 1 time in the year, that is, you spend the rest of your time in remand. So, like, we don't have a proper structure. Yeah. Ibrahim, before you try somebody, you should have evidence of your matter. The investigation should have been the matter should have been properly investigated with an evidence.
Right.
So you see the mess the police and the judiciary, because the police is investigating and they are charging. Ibrahim, imagine if they can charge you to court without evidence. The only thing they will say, let the prosecutor, the police that prepare the charges come and read your charges in court. Period.
And it goes back to the point, comrade. It goes back to the point. The question I asked, if there is a time frame for which you should, if there is a time frame for that 3 appearances, right?
There is no time frame.
It goes back to that point that the gentleman you met at the court cell. He told you that was his first time. He was jailed in prison for 4 years without charge, and that was his first time. So can you imagine? Someone could spend 12 years in prison, but yet still kind of like, you know, decide to go court like 3 times. 12 years, and then after every 4 years, and they still think it is legal. This is dangerous.
Let me tell you something, you will be charged maybe by the police to the court, and the court remand you to prison. What will happen now? For you to have an indictment that will take you again to attend court, that is the problem. Now, sometimes if you pass through magistrate court, you will be going, because for every adjournment, they say, okay, we adjourn the case to next month. But if they send it for speedy trial, meaning from magistrate court to high court, you can spend months. Imagine, Judge Williams, a former mayor, and Abubakar Rami spent 11 months before they got the indictment. I spent 21 days. I was lucky because, you know, they wanted to. They knew they have the conviction that they would sentence me, or whatever conviction they have. But I have to spend 21 days, Ibrahim. In fact, I went to prison without being charged. I went to prison without being charged. I was
no charge.
No charge. From CID to Panama Road for safe custody. After 21 days, because I was like continuously harassing the prison officers, They said, okay, tomorrow you're going to court. Court for what? I told them, I said, I've never been charged. They said, no, you're going to court. I went to court. I met 25 count charge was waiting for me. Without making a statement. I met 25 count charge waiting for me in court. At the magistrate's court number 1.
Okay, so Ibrahim, just like a divergence a little bit here. Let's go to like the bigger picture here. We've got elections like in like a
local council elections,
right? And because of the messed up judiciary, we do not have like any formidable opposition party that could challenge this current government. Why? Because the judiciary is playing games with the opposition party.
Right.
Again, the bigger picture. Maybe, I mean, I know we have people in parliament, opposition parliamentarians that could challenge these things. But, you know, like when you have like a leader, someone that could, challenge for the presidency, starting to make his mark. Why? I mean, what do we see happening in our country? The judiciary is playing with the opposition again because they do not want the government to be challenged. So they're using the judiciary to screw up lives. And lives are in danger in that country because there isn't any challenger to the government.
Right.
These are all, the problem we're having in with this whole judiciary. It goes back to the point. Confidence, Ibrahim. There are countries that do not have half of what we have, but yet still they are one of the richest countries in the world.
Absolutely.
We have all it takes. Why? But we're killing confidence. How do we kill this confidence? The judiciary, the parliament, the executive arm of institutions are not functioning. Everything has been killed. And then we're saying, oh, Africa is the poorest continent. Look, my friends, look, there is no way Africa is going to prosper.
Absolutely.
With this mentality. No way. Let's forget it. Our grandchildren will come by and live and die in this poverty mentality because the confidence is being killed, eroded. We do not care about confidence. All we keep talking about is we have oil, we have diamonds, we have rutile, and all this rubbish. Look, until you fix your house, bring confidence into your system, there is no way we're going to prosper.
Absolutely. Sierra Leoneans, again, we just want you guys to understand that everything we're saying here comes with a context where we are looking at crowded prisons today in Sierra Leone. Crowded prisons from the Pademba Road all over the country in small police stations. Everybody is a boss for themselves. Everybody, they go and arrest people how they want. We saw the video of Michael Mansare. You know how Michael Mansare was, arrested, after he was released again, they torment Michael Mansare, Nabo. Up till this point, Michael Mansare eventually get for run away, come out Nabo. This is what is happening across the country. The judge that sentenced Michael Mansare knew that what he was doing was wrong. But he went ahead anyways and sentenced Michael Mansare to the point where Michael Mansare, came back home and he was attacked again by these thugs. This is what is happening.
I head place are they really so far, my brother? It's not easy with me. Are they really so far? Down to my family and the library are at risk. Oh, that one get video I don't make. Say now I don't get peace of mind, sir. When I know let me die. Let me family don't lost me. Do you have the big? It's not easy with me. It's not easy with me personally. Do you want to help me? Do you have the big? When I really help me, do you have the big? When I help me and family, would they really suffer? Do you have the big? When I come to me here, when I come to me rescue, do you have the big one?
Comrade Kashi, I think, we've maybe made a point. It's about an hour out here. But the fact of the matter remains, with everything that happened under the SLPP, the failures of the SLPP started with the day that Charles Margai was fired from the Attorney General's position because he made his voice known very clearly that he's not going to tolerate any powers from above. And that was it right there. That was enough for the president, and President Julius Marabio fired him. And now what we have, overcrowded prison systems. I mean, the judiciary, the prison systems, they've been rotting for a very long time. Government is continuity. The former government did what they had to do, but it has been rotting since. There is no two ways to this. We're not going to, sugarcoat this. There are innocent people suffering and languishing in these prisons across Sierra Leone. That we need these, civil society organizations, the legal links, all of these donor organizations that are giving monies to these organizations in Sierra Leone, they need to start pulling their monies back. because these guys are not doing anything to protect the citizens of that country. Comrade Koita, like I said again, one day maybe we would have a platform that is bigger than this one, Al Jazeera, VOA, and a platform where we can go and spend time and focus on those issues. Because of course, this is a conversation that would never end. It's so detailed and long, but to just focus on the crux of what you experienced and some of these issues, because this is not about you now. That is why you're doing this. This is about the citizens that are in there, that are languishing, that are suffering, that should not be there. Those ones that you met there, they're still there. They don't even have a file anymore. Their files are gone. These are the people.
When you go to prison, when he asks questions, you just say, you know what? Let me just relax, because you see, a boy that was washing my cloth when I was in solitary confinement and drinking what that's helping me to have water to wash. Like I just asked him, I say, how long have you been here? He say, I'm here now 13 years. I say, what? For which crime? Imagine they can sentence somebody for just like simple larceny, like lamb, like chicken, like just people who just
stole a chicken or stole a goat.
No, little things that you can even, that's gonna cost even 10,000. They sentenced them 40 years.
Oh my God!
One boy was sentenced for 99 years because he's still a goat. Yeah, a goat.
He stole a goat.
99 years. I said, what? Just for goat, 99 years. Imagine. You can see someone will say, okay, let me give you an example. One boy was sentenced for 35 years in prison. When I was in jail, when they took me to prison in my separate cell on the 23rd of March, they want to set me up with a phone. They made an allegation that the boy was giving me a phone. The boy was so lucky. This Chief Justice is not my friend. He will never be my friend. But at that point, he did very well. They took the boy because, my case is like different to ONS, SISU, to CID, and they involved the judiciary, the Chief Justice come.
Right.
You are the one giving Comrade Koita a phone. So they want to make build mountain out of mole.
Right.
The boy say, Chief Justice, he say, I'm here for 37 years. He say, I've just spent 7 years. So the Chief Justice say, what's it for which reason? Then the boy explained. Then he look at the law. He said, no, your maximum sentence is 3 years. He said, but I've done 7 years. Here and there, the Chief Justice order is released. He was released here and there. So my like when I went to prison, it's a blessing for him. So imagine someone was about to spend 37 years. He spent 7 years already.
That is disgusting,
crime,
man.
The maximum sentence would be 3 years.
That is disgusting,
but
man.
I say thank God, because if there was no allegation against me, maybe he will spend the rest of his life.
This is a crusade. Comrade, this should be a crusade.
I have a lot of things to say, Ibrahim.
This is something we have to take out there.
Because these things, until or unless we bring them out. Do you know why Nelson Mandela succeeded? Because when he came out of prison, he was given the platform for him to explain to the world.
Absolutely.
So the story was hard. He was taken to US, explained in different platforms. I don't have that opportunity up to now. I'm seeking for these things.
We are going to use this little platform until we're able to get that big platform.
They have support from all over the world. I want to fight this fight, Ibrahim.
This is crazy.
Pademaro prison was built for 300 inmates.
What's the
when I
bigger
was in
picture?
jail? Yeah, go ahead, Cashbox.
What's the bigger picture here? Someone stealing a goat was jailed for 37 years.
Right.
Ibrahim, have we sat back and look and say, why are these young youths stealing goats?
Exactly.
Do they have the job opportunities in the country? Ibrahim, maybe we are lucky we've not been in that situation where you desperately need money.
Right.
I mean, you've looked left and right. Nothing is there for you as a young man. Sometimes, look, we're not condoning like anyone to steal. But Ibrahim, desperate situation could lead these young lives. Imagine Africa, the youngest.
Don't go too far. Think of us in the diaspora. You in London, I'm in America. There are people that go around. I had someone in my last house, because it wasn't as fenced as this one. Somebody came to my yard and stole my bike because, of course, it's open. They stole my bike, even in America, right? Picture that. These are people that, if they want to work, the opportunities are there for them. Picture a society in Sierra Leone where
Ibrahim,
where the job opportunities are not there.
Absolutely. But you have a president. The president is traveling to Lebanon with his wife, takes $10 billion, $1 million, goes and spends that money.
Let me tell you something, Ibrahim. Pademba Road was built for 300 inmates. When I was in prison, I was 1,476.
Let me show you.
Because I always check.
Look at it right here. The country's 21 prisons designed to hold 2,375 inmates held 3,808 as of August. This was a 2020 Human Rights Report.
Well, they even give wrong statistics. Ibrahim Pademba Road was built for 300 inmates.
Right.
Not more than that.
So for example, the male correctional facility, Freetown Male Correctional Center, designed to hold 324 inmates, comrade, right there.
Fine. The 24 is a condemned.
I see.
Because it's very difficult for you to have sometimes but the main yard is for 300 inmates.
See?
Because let me say something. When I went to prison, I asked so many questions. Because I know I have an agenda, because I saw the injustice in prison. When I was in prison, I was 1,476. Imagine. There are some cells, they put 10 people. A little cell that cannot even host 3 people. At the end of every evening, they will call number 5, number 6, number 7. They will start because they have to check the entire prison before they do final close up.
They lock down, yeah.
Yes, they say final. They close. They lock.
I think the root cause to all this thing for me, if people are jailed, because the opportunities are in Africa and they're refusing to grab or to take hold of these opportunities, maybe I'll be like, I understand. I mean, we have to have, every society should have like a prison, because you have like abnormal people that will do stupid things. I get it, but in Africa, for someone to steal a goat and like that person was jailed for 37 years, I cannot comprehend it. I cannot understand it, because Ibrahim, we keep saying this. Look at the president stealing over 500 million from our timber logging. And then, what do we see? All these logins are shipped to China to create employment for the Chinese, but we cannot create employment for the people in Africa.
No.
And then when they steal a bottle of milk, they are jailed. Come on, for God's sake.
You can see now in prison, in Pademba Road prison, some people, they sentence them 2 years, 3 years. These are fraud. People that's fraud. Fraud state, fraud offices, fraud government, money doublers. They give them minor sentence 2 years. 3 years.
Because they have money.
18 months, yeah. They can sentence this boy, someone who still just simple chicken, someone who still is a goat, maybe even, I can't imagine the size of the goat, 37 years, 40 years, 50 years.
Oh my God.
And for every crime you commit, Ibrahim, let me tell you something. Matter of fact, the magistrates court don't have the power to sentence, to pass a verdict above 3 years. In our country, they can sentence 10, 15, 20 years, the magistrate. They only have their minimum sentence is 3 years. They don't have the power to sentence above 3 years. But in our country, doing it. They can sentence you more than that. That's the power of the limit of the magistrate. It's between 1 year, 1 to 36 months. That is their power. And not more than. But they can sentence 10 years, 20 years in the magistrate court. The judges in the up countries, they will just sit down. What is your crime? They just when they sit down, they think, maybe they meditate about the thing. They come up. You have been sentenced for 60 years.
Oh my God!
It's like when you act in a movie.
Yes,
it's pathetic.
Ibrahim, for me, I think I'll just.
It's sad. Yeah. Comrade,
just meditate.
We have to.
They just come up with a statement. You see, they write their ruling. They started this false ruling. At the end of the day, you have been sentenced to 60 years.
Not following protocols at all.
Period. No, and most of these boys you see in Ibrahim, they don't have lawyers. We have the legal aid. The legal aid is not represented there. They are just there with them and God with the judiciary. Period. They don't have lawyers to represent them. Nothing. So they will just pass sentence, take them to prison without. If you don't have lawyer, how will you appeal?
Exactly.
You don't have money. Some of them came from a very poor background, so they just go there.
Some of them may have never even heard about a lawyer.
Yeah.
Look, Ibrahim, the culture in that country. Look, I've been there where rich people would tell poor people and say, look, if you slap my child, if you hit my car,
I would lock you up and throw the key.
If you lean on my car, I would lock you up for 10 years. And what we would see these rich people do, they will bribe the magistrate, and the magistrate will jail this person for 15 years. That's the culture in our country. I've seen it and I've had it.
No, in our local dialect, they say, "I lucky at with the king water." That's all water.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
So can you imagine how many people are in there? You know, so guys, this is for the the U.S. Embassy, the European Union, all of you guys. Take a look at these. Take a look at these cases. You guys have to go and visit. We've done our people wrong, man. We've done our people wrong. Let us leave it here, guys. We're 1 hour, 10 minutes. For you guys that are just joining us, it's late. You can go back and watch the live over. But again, we're going to be staying on YouTube for the few next weeks. And so, when we're coming live, because we want to bring you guys also on YouTube and as much as Facebook, bring you guys on YouTube as well. But the focus of this message was to just say that we have overcrowded prison systems, prisons in Sierra Leone today. And what can we do as Sierra Leoneans to ensure that we fix this? Let us lend our voice. Comrade Koita, we have to seek that platform. Believe it or not, my brother, we have to seek that platform where we can, it might not be today, tomorrow, but one day we'll have that opportunity. Believe me, Comrade Koita, we'll have that opportunity. Thank you, everybody. We'll leave it here.
Let's try.
Absolutely.
I depend on you, both of you and Cashbox, because you've been here for a while.
Absolutely.
It is the earlier we have it,
the better.
We help.
I think we have to write. We have to make some publications. On Kokoriko. We have to. I think we just have to keep doing this until somebody catches those messages and those write-ups and say, you know what, I want to have a talk with this. I think we have to do that. Unfortunately, I'm working on some stuff now. I don't get a chance, but we're gonna have that opportunity, comrade. This is not something that we should, Anyways, all right.
Okay.
All left for now.
All right. Cool.
Thank you, everybody.
See you soon.